Tamara Tia
Moro.
Tanana.
Happy Namibia.
Happy Namibia.
Independence Day. Never.
More.
We had a great Independence Day.
Thank you.
The country come through for us.
Yes.
We had a nice time with the president.
Yes.
All of us.
All of us.
All of us.
Yeah. All of us. Good morning, gentlemen. It's really, wow. What a beautiful morning. Let's start with, let's start with Friday. What did you guys do on Friday?
We worked.
No.
Yes.
From 5 o'clock.
From 5 o'clock onwards.
Yes.
We got together with a couple of friends and had some drinks.
Okay. And Saturday?
I woke up Saturday morning and I had a stomach bug,
Oh,
which wasn't that good.
okay.
But I survived it with some medicine and all that, and then we still went to the bush.
You still went to the bush?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that you enjoyed yourself in the bush.
Yes.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Sonia, told me that you guys were together, and I saw some pictures of you guys together.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
Having a good time daar in die bos. And when did you guys return?
Yesterday, which was really cool. What was fantastic about the weekend was the weather. You know, it was always like little drizzly rain, and then it stops, and then it's nice and cool. So
Yeah.
we didn't have the heat. It was a fantastic time we've had.
Ach, nice, man. Nice. Mitch, how was your weekend?
Then just like I said, Nevs, Friday I had a cool time. Just at home. Just at home playing game, and then Saturday I did the rep. And
Saturday.
Saturday I did the rep and went for car wash. And Sunday, Sunday was cool at my parents' house, but Monday I did a donkey poikie.
A donkey poikie. And?
Oh, it was nice. I was
Mitch.
thinking of bringing some to
Yeah.
work, but then
Hou verby.
Yeah.
Yes, if my woman finds out I ate a donkey or a horse, she'll divorce me right there.
they say men who eat donkey become blessed
Nee.
like a donkey.
Oh.
Oh, like that, you mean?
So I have to eat.
Constantly.
You know,
How
I
long
said
have you
your
been-
pig must.
How long have you been eating donkey now?
It's been years.
Yeah.
That's where the saying comes from. He's hung like a donkey.
Because you must nog 'n pig stuur, Neville. Wat hulle doen in Cape, man.
Nee, ek het gezien.
Okay.
Hey, they sell Rocky in trabs there. In
Oh.
bulk in Kietmans. I understand why. Penis enlargement cream, etc.
Lord.
Yeah.
Just eat donkey.
Just eat donkey.
Leave the creams.
Ja. maar Mitch, ek moet jou vra, né? I've had donkey biltong. En smaak baie lekker.
Yeah.
I have had zebra many a times. And I mean, they say zebra is as good as donkey. But I've never had donkey meat per se. And I remember this one time I visited some friends in Okahanya. And they were busy with a donkey potjie. Maar die ding het so geryk, nee. I basically weaseled myself out of, and I was like, ouwens, ek moet cheap. My vrou wag vir my. Ek het haar gelos hierso by Okahanya Country Lodge. So sy wag vir my daar so. Meanwhile, my vrou was not even in Okahanya. So, but I just couldn't stand the smell of that donkey potjie. It was a very strong smell.
The whole thing is, just like the runaway chicken, the bamboo chicken, like we say, there is a certain way that people have to slaughter that chicken, and it's just certain people that can do it. And there is a certain way a donkey is cooked that you won't even know you were eating donkey.
Nee.
And like especially like the ladies from Korigas and all that, like if they cook it the traditional way, like from Korigas,
I wouldn't mind eating it. I'm saying
it won't smell that.
I just don't like the smell of it.
Yeah, it is pretty bad if we cook it.
Nee.
Yeah, because donkey you don't even put in fat. You just cook it with its own fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to put it. Jy sit net eie in en wat en dan braai homself.
Kyk hy dink.
Ek imagine net een mens like, so Mitch, you ate a donkey. Like, that's animal cruelty. Die mense se aangaan as ek gekry word. But seriously, Neville, there are people that can cook donkey and you will not notice it's donkey at all. Like, seriously. And that's how I started eating donkey. I didn't know it was donkey. And somebody was like, I was eat donkey. And I'm like, seriously?
So once you fed all your guests and they are on their way home, do they say, buy a donkey?
Ja, as sê hulle baie donkie ja. Soos 'n regte Pretoriaaner.
Baie donkie vir die kos.
Jy kan sê kyk, dis nou 'n tamarai of 'n nama wat hier sê donkey ain't for eating. Sê jy kan sê. That's what jy kan sê.
He is from the other family. He will not be eating.
Oh yeah, he will not, ne? Yeah.
Donkey is for men. Yeah. I'm kidding.
Yeah, my weekend was, I mean, I started out on Friday evening. I had a show, well publicized show that I had with Scout Besaid Note.
How was that, by the way?
It was really, I had a lot of fun with Skulk.
Yes.
And I just want to say thank you to all Namibians who came out there at Armei on Friday evening, enjoying the evening with us. And in true fashion again, I only left Okahanya 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
2:30 in the morning. And I arrived home at 5 minutes past 3.
And then you told me, bro, ek was 10 klaar hierso. You didn't say that this time, man.
So no, but it was good. Saturday we were just, what did we do on Saturday? We were just chilling at home. Sunday I made a oxtail pot and myself baie geniet, and yesterday toe gaan ons kassie toe. Toe's ek by my ma se huis and my siblings and my uncles and all my loved ones. We were just chilling there at my mother's house in Kempton.
Fantastic.
Until about just before 12. Ja, toe is ek heel swebbe op pad huis toe. So today is going to be a very slow day for some of us. But on the other side of the news, we got a lot to discuss. But I will decide what will be discussed here.
As I believe.
And what will not be tolerated. Yeah. I will not allow any insults here. Yeah. Behavior that's unbecoming, false information that will be shared here by you people about stuff that happened.
Yeah.
In Swakopmund.
Yeah, I will not tolerate these things. Yeah. Very quickly, good morning, Penda Nali. Good morning, Masha. Dis amper paydag, my sister, jy's reg. Storage Kapembe. Hey, Kapembe, that's a deep name. Kapembe. Jan Katz, Norma Guth, Penda Nali, Khanjay. Yeah, Penda Nali. Yeah, who asked your opinion here? Yeah, we are not interested in your opinion. Jy kan Kaisep, Stephanus James, Matundenje, Shora Kawenji, Moro Yela Ama. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Kalfi, it was a weekend again. Let's hear.
This is Informanté Live, and these are our top stories. These were the core components in President Hage Geingoob's speech celebrating Namibia's 32nd Independence Day anniversary under the theme A People United for Prosperity, and highlighting the country's transition from a poorly governed occupied territory to a stable and peaceful democracy. Our Independence Day is sacred and should be above our personal feelings and politics of the day. Patriotism, which is defined as love and defense of one's country with all its inherent flaws and greatness, should inform the conduct of all Namibians, the President said. At the official celebrations held at the Veneta Stadium in Swakopmund, hundreds of people gathered at the gates early on Monday in the hopes of either entering to join in the celebrations or getting a glimpse of the President. Due to COVID-19 regulations limiting gatherings to 1,000 people, only invited guests were allowed in, leaving many visibly disappointed, especially the children who outnumbered the adults. My plan didn't work, said a despondent 11-year-old TJ, who left his home in the Mondesa neighborhood at dawn and walked to the stadium. I wanted to go in, but the police told me only VIPs are allowed. I told them I am a VIP, but they won't believe me. The body of 21-year-old Moises Daitala Kwanyumupe Sena was found hanging in his room at Inkondombali village in the Ongongo constituency. The deceased, from Zangongo in Angola, was employed as a domestic worker. His body was discovered on Saturday at around 1700 hours and 30 minutes. According to Omosati Regional Commander Commissioner Titus Shikongo, an inquest has been opened. The deceased committed suicide by hanging himself with a rope in the roof in a sleeping room, he said. And finally, the Namibian police in the Omosata region are investigating a murder case after 18-year-old Sakaria Kumhulu died instantly following a stabbing incident on Saturday evening. The incident occurred at around 10 to 9 in the evening at Boss Bar in the Omokutala location of the Okangi village. According to Omosati Regional Commander Commissioner Titus Shikongo, the 23-year-old suspect has been arrested. It is alleged that the suspect used a knife to stab the deceased once in the neck, and as a result he died on the scene. Shikongo stated that Kamhulu allegedly entered the bar to buy bread. The suspect reportedly provoked Kamhulu by blocking his way out of the bar without saying anything. The deceased then managed to step out of the bar. The suspect allegedly followed him outside and stabbed him once in the neck, he added. The suspect fled the scene immediately after committing the crime and was arrested some hours later. The Eurasco share price today, the 22nd of March, is at $1.23 per share. Taking a brief look at the financial indicators, the Namibia dollar is trading against the US dollar at 16 Namibia dollars, against the euro at 17 Namibia dollars and 60 cents, and against the British pound at 21 Namibia dollars. This is Informanté Live, and these were our top stories. You can find more on our website, which is informante.web.na.
Informanté News. Informanté News. Informanté News. Firm but fair.
And our Easter competition on Informanté Live is still ongoing. This week's competition is a tandem skydive opportunity with compliments from Skydive for Fun. You stand a chance to win a voucher to the value of 3,000 Namibian dollars for a tandem skydive in Swakopmund. All you have to do is type hashtag skydive for fun. Please remember the digit 4. That is hashtag skydive for fun in the comment section of the competition post on our Facebook page. Today will be the last day of this competition, and winners will be announced on social media.
Thank you very much, Galfi, for the news.
Yes.
And
it's a pleasure.
It's definitely a pleasure. Natalie Orange, goeiemorgen. Moro Mutumba, Vanessa Guibeb. We don't need your negativity here. Your negativity is not appreciated on this platform. Jürgen Geiseb, that 11-year-old understands the assignment perfectly.
Yes.
Not these self-declared, self-adored VIPs. Kom ons kyk gou. What was the catering budget for the celebrations?
It was 2 million Namibian dollars.
Can we talk about that and the invited guests only? Hey, julle begin vroeg. Toomso Juniors, Swakopmund private taxi service, dial a cab. Are you advertising your personal business here? If you do advertise your personal business here, we will block you. Okay?
Listen here. The Namibian Independence Day is about your personal feelings. Like we read there. It's above your personal feelings. And I think most of the people that are complaining here were not probably at the field as well. Was it done?
Okay, guys, let's quickly discuss this.
Yeah.
Let's start off. Yesterday morning, as some of you know that our independence celebrations happened yesterday. We celebrated 32 years of democracy, freedom as Namibians. And I, for one, enjoyed the day, spending it with my family.
Yes.
I have to say that I was very much tempted on Saturday after my show on Friday night to take Mevrou and let's just take a joyride to Swakopmund. Maybe we'll stroll into the stadium to go and watch the Independence Day spectacle, because that is what a patriotic Namibian should do. So it was reported that yesterday morning, since 4 o'clock, many residents of Swakopmund flocked to the Venita Sports Stadium because they wanted to join the festivities. Just to be rudely awakened by some security officers, police, and the organizing committee of the celebrations, telling them that the event is only catering for invited guests. I will quickly play you a little snippet of what happened outside this stadium where Zaliki there.
Ausie Magritsky.
Is it Ausie Magritsky?
Ausie Magritsky. Oh, sikke. Ausie Magritsky.
Okay, let's give her a name. Ausie Margaret.
Ausie Margaret.
Ausie Margaret decided as nonsense hier, ne? And she brought the pain right there in front of everybody. Let's hear what she said.
Ons moet gaan kies, dan moet ons in die son staan. So moet ons by die hek kom staan vir 2 miljoen wat proe is vir 2000 breedchen en koeldrank. Breedchen en koeldrank, 2 miljoen zijn nesta. Dan moet ons so staan soos honde. Maar as het kiestijd is, dan moet ons behandeld worden als een mens. Maar als het wat proe is voor 2 miljoen, is niet goed niet. Ons wordt behandeld zoals honde.
I love how she ends the video yesterday, because I watched the whole video yesterday.
Right.
But I like how she ends the video. She looks at the camera like, "Aine gaan." And Elsie Margaret walks away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honde.
Yeah.
Honde.
Yeah. So, gents, to all our viewers out there, so what's your take on what happened yesterday? In all sincerity, it looks again like an own goal that government scored yesterday.
Maguire.
It was a typical Maguire.
Yeah.
An own goal that was scored because we do think that if it was in the interest of government, with all its state machinery, we're talking about a media machine that you can use to notify Namibians constantly 24/7 that this is for invited guests only, so that we don't leave any stone unturned, that people rock up there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning thinking that they can enter the stadium.
Sure.
Your take, please.
Well, two things. I think communication is the own goal that was scored here by government. This was not properly communicated. Okay? So it was kind of handled at the scene. And that, I think, is the big disappointment and the big negativity in terms of all of the story. And I totally agree with you, Neville. With a state-owned media machine, let's talk about it openly, let's say the NBC.
Yeah.
This could have been communicated not only to the NBC, but also to private media.
Yes.
So that we can ensure everybody knows about this. But then, do at least the least that you can do. And this is what I now don't know. Were these independent celebrations broadcasted by NBC or private media?
I didn't even check. I was sorry, but for the words, but I was just highly pissed off. I
Yes.
didn't see the need to, because again, I sided with the hundreds of people outside.
Yes.
So I didn't want to tune in personally to check what.
You've got to remember something. The country, the president, has limited public gatherings to 1,000 people.
Of course.
What is the capacity of that stadium?
No, that capacity of that stadium can. I mean, I've been at that stadium many a times, and
Yes.
that stadium can house a capacity of well over 3,000-4,000 people.
Oh, you see.
Yeah.
And it's of little value, or it's of little use for that matter, if the president comes a week ago or so, more or less tells us, 1,000 people per public gathering, and then we hold this independence celebration in a stadium, not communicating to the Namibian people that only VIP people will be invited, or only invited guests are allowed to come. That communication, that whole process, that was a big stuff up.
Mitch?
It's just very sad that the most patriotic people are usually from the lower class. And these are really people that go out of their way to be there. I mean, we, like the middle class and everybody, are the ones that are going to complain for them. But they will never be there. And it really hurts me that these people, the ones that really go out there to support and be part of this, that want to be part of this event, are the ones that are going to be locked out and be treated like animals, like dogs outside there. And people that sit and have their air conditioning and everything at their houses are the ones that are still going to be treated much more better than the people that are really patriotic in Namibia. So, and it has been happening for a lot of the years. It's not the first time that it's been happening. So, I feel like the Independence Day should be, the way we celebrate it should be changed. Like, just do a whole thing for the people. You, the president, you have your dinner and your stuff with your prime ministers and what out of your own pocket probably there. But let the whole money that is budgeted for the independence be for the people. You can host your own dinner with your comrades and everybody at your state house. I think that would be better.
But Mitch, what are you people complaining about? What are you people complaining about? The people got a bretchen, a Vienna,
Okay.
en 'n stukkie vis. Die mense het geëet. So wat is die probleem?
Devil was je bij
Jy het mos kos gekry.
Het was je bij een Damara begrafenis in je leven. We get more than that at the Damara funeral. And then for my Independence Day, I have to get that. It just doesn't make sense. And these people, like, look, these people have to sit not under shade. And they are the ones that are sitting like on the benches and hoe noemen ze die plek ook? The paviljoen.
Ja, die paviljoen.
And they are getting fried by the sun. Maar hulle kom kry nog the short stick of the short end of the stick, do we say? Yeah. And the ander ouens hulle het hulle se catering daar binne kan. Ek dink daai mense moet meer kry as hulle eintlik van. Just to balance stuff out, but seriously, the president must really consider him having his own private party at the State House and budget the whole money for the Independence Day for the people to celebrate it like they should.
Mohausi Boli says, I am so happy that happened. People should learn that the government is only for them when it suits them. Natalie Orange, ek vote nooit weer in my lewe nie. That is the dumbest thing anybody can say, Natalie.
Yes.
Don't ever follow through on what you are saying there. Moenie dit doen nie, my sister. Vote, it doesn't matter who you're voting for,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
But always vote.
Always vote.
Yeah. Tangeni Tlabanello says, if all the tenders and services were given to the coastal residents, then surely I will personally not have a problem with the 2.5 million. Kaufi Vra het almal genoeg geëet. Natalie says, catering was for 20,000 people. Only 1,000 invite to the event. Now what happened to the rest of the 19,000 plates? And since when do you need an invite to celebrate independence? Swapo government. Mohausi Boli says, jy moet vir change vote. The more change votes there are, the less power the current government will have. Guys, let's vote wisely in the next election. Swapo en sy government vat, sê Roviera en Sturridge Kapembe. Maxwell says, independence celebration rot. Only the well-connected were allowed to eat the independence cake. Vanessa sê, die wat nie wil hoor en sien nie, they gonna learn. Marsha Lee says, yes, Mitch, because we know not to waste our time like that. Near Leafy X Klaar, democracy, Bretchens, and invited people only, says John Chombe. Soos honde, ek voel haar pyn, man. True, Natalie, ne? I see another TikTok from Mitch, Aussie Margaret. Robert, die po. Ja, jy wil vir Aussie Margaret bring, Mitch. Tangeni with a capital, but the Namibian government also. Why didn't they just inform the nation that only invited guests will enter the venue? Nina says, what did those people go do at the stadium? Were they not told it's a via invite only? Wat het hulle gaan soek? Nina, that is very rich of you, my sister, speaking from an NBC point of view. Ne? If you still work for the NBC, it was the responsibility of you, who forms part of the state machinery of government, to ensure that people don't go to the stadium. Every radio station, okay? Tamaranama, Herero, Ocean Deutsche, Wambu, Afrikaanse Dienst, national radio, all languages, plus television, should have made sure that people don't go to the stadium. Jürgen Keiseb says, it's so stupid. Why didn't they just host something at the State House?
Yes.
Why did they not inform the public that the event was per invite only? Did they think, this what Jürgen Keiseb says, Moha says, did they think because it's swak op mond, seafood would be served? Angela Ferris says, poor planning, ek voel soos Ousie Margaret. Nina Katangana says, they knew people are unnecessary. Oh, please, Nina, we will come for you.
It's Nina,
If
Nina
you
Kanane.
keep on saying this, we'll come for you and we will. We got a lot to say about the NBC, okay?
Nina, you know I love you, right?
Yeah.
I love you, Nina, but don't do this stuff, man. Oh.
So, jy check, mense is dom. Is dit wat jy sê, Nina? Mense is dom. Hulle het geweet en hulle is dom. They still went anyway. Masha, I hope Namibians wake up and smell the coffee because it's exactly like Ousie Margaret says. Treated like dogs. Please, Nina, tell it to Ousie Margaret says Tom. She unnecessarily went to the stadium while she knew she will not be let in. Right?
Dink jy Ousie Margaret het 'n smartphone even om die goed te ken?
She listens to radio.
Radio.
Okay?
So is jealous a responsibility daar.
Volgens Nina, it was public knowledge. Thank you for the public knowledge, but why did the message not get through to everybody?
Exactly, because I didn't get it.
I didn't get the message.
Did you get it, Mitch?
No.
No? Huh?
So it's like maybe they just did it so they read the news and what, and then they
By the
do,
way,
they do the weather and
by the
then
way,
they do the newly confirmed corona cases and stuff, and then they just end the whole thing with saying, please don't come.
Please don't come. Roviera says, I'm not able to see the joke in this. Yeah. Why are we actually laughing around the situation?
I know. Let me tell you why it is. And that's just the way. It is actually so serious that we protect ourselves by laughing at it.
Yes.
It is actually serious matter. We shouldn't be laughing. But it's the way we react because it's just another indication by government saying how it's actually
ridiculous.
Unimportant we are as a nation to them.
And when people call it a whole country, dan word daar geketch. There was no communication whatsoever that it was for invited guests only. That's where they went wrong, said Jürgen Keiseb. Brechen, Din Vienna, and Kokse Moausi Boli. Penda Nali says they should just have had their little get together at the State House and save us money and headaches. I don't have the invite only message was properly. I don't think the invite only message was properly communicated to the public, says Vanessa Kuipep. Mutumba says she had good points. When it's time to vote, they come make all kinds of promises. We'll build a pipe that brings cooking oil to your home, said a politician. Nina says it was all over every NBC News bulletin and even on my show. I personally interviewed Beuta Jarakana. It was public knowledge. Well, yeah. Who got that tender from Mutumba? Nina, I guess that it was not effectively communicated then. I, for one, only found out yesterday when people started complaining, said Jürgen Keiseb. Stephanus James says, I have an ask. After 32 years of independence, do we really still need celebrations every year? I can think of at least 32 other ways to spend that Kamastache that 2.5 million. Roviera says, no problem, limit 1,000, but for 2.5, which we knew is actually 25 million. You could have 20 venues with 1,000 people in them. Good idea. What Rose says, you could have had 20 venues with 1,000 people in them and cater for the people. What kind of excuse is that? It is our freaking tax that bake that damn cake with. Say Ro, my tax money says storage. Vanessa says, it's a waste of time and money. The president should host his own event at State House for his comrades finish and klaar. Ek lees nog so 3-4 comments. You can't take the celebration to the people for yourself. You take it to the people for the people. Okay? Natalie says, Nina, on which media platforms was this communication? Please share apart from your show. Hier kom Nina. Nina, vat julle aan. Julle sal nie vir NBC kom blame nie. The fact that it was invite only and what the budget was 2.5 million was not only on NBC bulletins and current affairs shows but in other media as well. Namibians have an attitude of boasting that they don't watch NBC. Why are people boasting that they don't watch NBC? So sal hulle oorkom. Now you in the sun all day for a piece of fish when you could have been well informed. Eina, Nina. Eina. Take that money that's going to be used for breakfast and cool drink and Blerick fix our hospitals and schools. And Nina says, as hoe hulle oorgekom het because they don't watch, they will learn. Okay, yeah. Then we had some of our opposition leaders who were part of the celebrations in the name of one of our opposition leaders, McHenry Vanani, was also in the crowd. Okay? And McHenry did not appreciate that people came for him by being one of the guests at the celebrations. In a tweet, McHenry says, Namibians, you are not serious. I am a guest. I did not organize anything about independence. I hold no office and why must I be scolded for an event I only attended as a guest?
As an invited guest.
As an invited guest.
VIP invited guest.
Is it wrong for people to come to him?
It's interesting. Would it be the same people that actually invited him? Because if you get invited by another entity, and some people come to you from a different point, you say, but hang on, I'm attending here. I wasn't invited by you. I was invited by this entity.
Yeah. So he's fair. So you feel that he's fair by saying, you know what, you guys shouldn't be holding me accountable.
Here's my invite. Just because you might not like me, it's got nothing to do with you.
Okay.
Here is my invite. I've been invited.
No, I agree with Kofi.
Point.
I do agree with Kofi, sorry. And you know the people from the coast, Walvisbaai and all that, let onze government, the red, green and blue, tyd gewys hier so in die voting, daai kant. So miskien die government het dit onnodig daar gehou om te sê julle sal sien.
Maar but on that point, Mitch, on that specific point. No, I hear what you're saying. On that specific point, was it not and you know what, as much as we try to use semantics when it comes to what is government and what is SWAPO.
Yes.
What is SWAPO and what is government. As much as we say, let's not use semantics, we know that this is a SWAPO-led government. It's part and parcel SWAPO.
Yes.
So we talk about the Irongo region here. It's a voting block that SWAPO lost.
Yeah.
Because of what happened 2.5 years ago.
Yes.
Where fishermen lost their jobs, etc., etc.
Housing in Walvis Bay.
Housing, etc., etc. And as a result, a lot of people feel that, you know what, fish rot. This is a result of the fact that people lost their jobs, etc., etc., etc. So the idea of hosting an independence celebration in Swakopmund was a brilliant idea from the ruling party side. Let me say again, let's not bullshit each other here.
Yes.
Come on.
Political
Swapo,
strategies.
Swapo is the machine.
To try and get some voters back.
Let's get them back.
Let's get back into it again.
Now,
The own goal itself.
execution.
That's it.
Execution. So people from the coast are even more pissed off now.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why I'm like, that is a lekker own goal. That's a terrible own goal that they did there.
So these food parcels.
Moenie begin nie.
No, wait.
We didn't ask you about food parcels.
Yes, the Bretchen, the Vienna, and the Coke or Fanta. Were they dished around on the outside of the stadium?
Ek ken nie. Dit sê ek sien hierso in one of the dailies it says the crowd was later allowed in. Okay?
Later allowed in.
Yeah.
Okay, what difference does that make?
Yeah, exactly. That makes it
man,
even worse.
It's reactive.
It just makes it worse then.
So initially, no, you're not allowed in. Here's your Bretchen, your Vorsi, and your Fanta, which you'll get outside. And then once everything has been said and done inside, we'll open the gates and you can come inside. So are we saying, and we need to find this out because I don't know, were there later on 2,000 to 3,000 people inside the stadium?
The whole point of making it invite only is just stupid. Independence celebration, making it invite only, it's just really a terrible idea.
Because even if there were more than 1,000 people outside the stadium, that is still a public gathering.
Still a public gathering.
Still a public gathering.
But I must say, I like what Rovera said. You know what? If it was our taxpayers' money that was used,
Right.
whether it was 2.5 million or 25 million, why did the creativity of government or the SWAPO party did not say, with somebody with an idea like that, let's take 4 venues or 5 venues in Swakopmund.
Yes.
We have one in Mondesa, we have one in Tamariskia, we have one in Venita, we have one in Wolfish Bay.
Matutura goed.
There's
Yeah.
just so many locations.
Daar sê ons duisend. Gee die mense genoeg kos. Ons jive. Gaza performs there. Tamara Dik Ding is over there. Kaufi is over there. And what? Value for your money.
Sure.
Huh?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there are just some celebrations or some events.
There is taking something to a public place and make it private.
Okay.
If that was celebrated at the State House, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah.
Because the reason why you're taking independence to the coast for the first time in history is to accommodate the
Everyone.
and then you decide it's private.
Yeah.
That is where the own goal is. That how it's
Own goal.
Own goal.
Yeah. Shines also agrees
point
with
with
us
that,
that it's
yeah.
it's basically an own goal. Ek wil net sê, Mitch, before you continue. In 2019, I was part of the organizing committee in the Wolfish Bay Silver Jubilee celebrations. Okay? Wolfish Bay celebrated 25 years of independence when Wolfish Bay was handed back to Namibia because it was part of South Africa. So I remember we were running around making sure to contact all fishing companies. Quite a lot of fishing companies came to a fore to say, you know what? It's 25 years of independence for Wolfish Bay. We will donate fish. There were so many companies. Etosha Fishing, I remember they were basically the main sponsor. They made sure that almost 1,000 people from Wolfish Bay enjoyed, the food that was served on that day. Seeing this compared to what I've seen there.
And that's a smaller event.
It was a smaller event. And just how people of Wolfish Bay, the business community of Wolfish Bay, basically organized themselves to say, you know what, we're going to make this a success. Did anybody from the business community contacted
Right.
to make sure that whoever gets this food tender, make sure that people at least have a decent meal of food for the day.
I don't believe they contacted them. Yeah, because it's all politics again.
Hy van hy ja. Hy elotse.
It's just some celebrations, like I was saying, Neville, and I'll get to the point now that you were saying, and I agree with you totally there. I'm saying some celebrations are it's just not a thing that people understand that you can have just invited guests, and these are celebrations like independence, weddings, funerals. You saw when Corona came through, when we had this pandemic, people were told there can only be 100 people or 50 people at a funeral. But this person knew more than 50 people. Outside, you will see more than 50 people. It's just in human nature, like or in our culture.
It's in our culture.
It's in our culture that jy kan nie 10 mense by 'n begrafnis het nie. So daai mense, al of die regulations het, hulle sal daar kom in support of that. And the independence celebration is just the same. Mense voel dat as hulle is 'n land. We are taxpayers. We are independent and we want to celebrate this day. We want to be patriotic to our country.
Exactly.
So you cannot put invites on like a celebration like that. It's just really ridiculous and stupid. It's a stupid idea, and I hope it doesn't happen again.
To add to what you are saying, last year when Chief Vekuiru Koro, when he passed on, the regulation at that specific time was probably 10 people. Okay? And on the chief's funeral day, how are you going to stop thousands of hereros
Not going to that funeral.
not going to that funeral? You can arrest me, you can kill me, I don't care. This was Mbarayetu, this was our chief, we're going to go. And government did not even remotely try to interfere with that. Jesukak. Okay? So, this is our independence celebrations, my people. How? Never mind.
Just be
Yeah. Aili Maiden Yoma. The comrade said the speakers were there for those who couldn't enter the stadium to listen. They can't see anything wrong with what they did. Bradley Kuvisep says, the sight of what happened at the stadium was really disheartening. Meanwhile, the majority of the people that were there actually from a less fortunate community known as the DRC. It was bad how they were treated. Alfredo was seker op lief. Vra J Tangeni. Des van Dijk say, morning crew, I'm looking forward to the next elections. In fact, I want to start my own movement. Best would be a coalition to get Swapo out of power and create a brand new Namibia. Stefanus James says, as ons tekstgeld wat so gemors word, ek wonder hoe baie van die invited guests het S&T gekry. Estomish says, at least include the kids and people who sat in the sun, turn around, say thanks for coming. I see, imagine how many kids who walked maybe for distance to see their leaders. If you are not touched by this, I don't know, very emotional. Daar sê, ek wonder hoeveel 100,000 was die lelike independence koek, ek kon sien dit het min suiker. Hey, gaan jy dis?
He's a professional complainer. That's a professional complainer.
Emilia Magoja says, I personally think that it was done out of spite because Irongo voted for Tate Johnny Walker. Now our blue, red and green government was like, hulle sal net lus. Just by conspiracy. Stop your conspiracies here.
That just makes it worse, isn't it?
Huh?
That would just make it worse.
Yeah, it would make
they
it
just
worse.
made a bad move.
Yes.
I see Swapo daar in the coast.
Jagan Kesef says, perhaps NBC should take note that their messages are ineffective. Neville, los vir Nina uit en vra jou bra. Nee, los my bra uit. Vra julle vir Nina. Moao says, I understand your stance, but there is nothing on NBC. Hulle kan maar net toemaak. Boya Kasha! Wiseman, Kosman. Sir, do you see all this situation went good by treating people that way? Mara, NBC is useless soos die government. Wie weet nie, sê Rovere. Ek bang julle nie, sê Nina, you can come for me. Nina is gereed vir julle. Julle kan kom vir Nina. I thought our shines will be covering the event. Damn, says Estomich. This could be true. It's the region that stopped Swapo stabbed Swapo in the back. Says Mohau. Tini says, but as it may, be as it may, but perceptively that is political suicide when you cannot discern the mood or so, more so on the PR side of things. Politically, why a stadium when you could have done it indoors? Someone sat on his brains on this one, regardless of invite or not. Mutumba says, I'm not okay for the last 32 years. I've gotten a slice of that independence cake. I also want my share. Bradley says, that is actually factual. 90% of those that were locked out, standing outside, were from an informal settlement known as the DRC. I interacted with some of them. Many had to leave their homes at
4 in the morning. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
To reach the stadium in time. Weyulu Shiweda says, someone please tell Nina that not everyone has access to television. Not everyone has electricity at their bashus or $5 to at least buy a newspaper. Kaufi, jy wil wat gesê?
No, I understand what is being said, that not everybody's got television. But let's do it anyway. Let's broadcast it anyway. Let's put it into the media anyway, so that those people who don't have a television can be told by people who do have a television. Let's get those people that don't or cannot read newspapers get told by people that do and can read newspapers.
Radio.
Get the word out so that everybody spreads the word.
As effective as the message was, Nina, that the independence celebrations will be at Venita Stadium. As effective as that message was.
Yes.
Why was the message lost in translation that you public are not invited?
Neville, most taxis, if I were to make the statement, most taxis would have radios in them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, if this would have been broadcasted via radio over the last week, everybody sitting in a taxi would hear that message. Not only that, those people that get into a taxi on Monday morning and saying to the taxi driver, please take me to the stadium, I want to go there, the taxi driver would tell them, you can't go there because it's only for invitees. If I were to take you there, you would waste your money. You know, that is what we're talking about. That is how a country's communication should be.
True.
Not only for Independence Day, but for everything.
Hello.
Yes.
For me, this Independence Day was not really planned out well like the others. The others I could remember from every product in shops. Even Tafalaga had to change their beer with some kind of saying like, yo, it's Independence.
Sure.
Let's just be honest. This Independence Day was not planned. I don't know who was it was probably those ladies that wear the UNAM shirts at funerals that planned out this Independence Day. God weet, ek het nie gesien Tafel or Draft het gechanged na 32 years nie. Ek het nie gesien Mama.
That's your reference.
Yeah, I'm just ek sê net, maar dit is you know, there was always this when we knew when it was like about to be March, you know, the 21st of March, we knew voor dat van January af al die brands begin change na Independence Day and so on. So there was not properly communicated and there was not
Neville, what Mitch is actually saying is of great importance here. We did not see private sector get involved into the independence celebrations this year as much as we saw it before that. I'm not talking about the 2 COVID years that we've had. Please don't. But I'm just generalizing. In the past, private sector got excited by getting involved in Independence Day.
Very true.
So, if this independence celebration in the Irongo region at a stadium where the invitees only message was not communicated properly, I think government should have just stood back and say, listen, we're not doing it this year. let's still hide it behind the COVID
Yeah.
thing, dangers, because less is more.
Less is more.
Less is more.
Net so.
And just apologize also. The government moet net stand and say, oh, ons is jammer, onze biggie so afgegaan op onze rails, maar sorry, we move on.
Hallo.
Yes.
Nina told you people you are stupid.
Unscrupulous.
Yeah.
Our government can never say sorry. That's the problem also. And in Namibia, the only thing you need to do really, and for people to forget about something is be apologetic, apologize about it, and try to make it right. And Namibians will forget about it. Even for the fish rod guys, if they'll be like, yo, we did. Like, take accountability for it. Like, okay, I did this. And I really am sorry. I'll take up any punishment that comes to me. Namibians will be sympathetic towards you. Let's say you forgive. That's just the Namibian culture.
Yeah. Yes, baie reg. Doris say, if a message is communicated and does not reach its target marker, then it was ineffective communication.
Asseblief.
Especially if it is regarding an event which has been celebrated publicly for 30 years. Do people need to watch NBC to be informed? Is that what you are saying? The NBC is the biggest platform nationally. Vanani would have scored political points if he did a camera. You can guess it. I guess the cake was too good to chip. Yeah. Mohau says McHenry was invited by the president, and in respect to his president, he honored the invite. What happened there was not the result of McHenry's input or knowledge, but he learned of the way people are being treated while in attendance. I felt the anger is misplaced. He was attending a national event. He was invited. He didn't go on his own invite, say Mutumba. Go and hustle, guys. Lot of you know how Swapo is, but you are here trying to blame them for not giving you food. Go hustle and buy for yourself food. I'm tired of this nonsense. Swapo is doing what they usually doing best. They have all the money. So look for your money and feed your soul. I'm glad, Neville, you didn't get a VIP ticket. If you attended that event, I would have asked KGB to drag you out of the shade and drag you to the sun with your people. You would scream, Russia, says Estomich. Later on, let in so they can have the leftovers, says Amelia. Nina, NBC is toch klaar. You know it too, but you can't say it here, says Muhao. Bradley says the crowd was only allowed in after the whole ceremony was and the honorables left. That's when the gate was opened for them to go fight over Bretchens and Boerewors. I was there, occasionally drove by and stopped to hear and see what was happening. They say personally independence was a sad day. I only salute the heroes that fought the black-white regime, even if there still much racism amongst us. But I blame the government for basic services such as hospitals, schools, justice, etc. But our citizens are uneducated on politics as they assume government is there to cater for jobs and housing. Mutumba says, did anyone see the deputy of MICT trying to save the face on Twitter? It was a bad attempt. Maguire type of vibes. Maxwell says the same people that complain about Swapo since when us politicians, okay. Woo! Hey! So this is not the abbreviation of Swapo. Swapo stands for since when are politicians okay? Are the same people that will vote for them again out of fear of giving new parties a chance. What did the Patriot put on his dry skin? Revolution. Makenevela, for sure, they could have had 1,000 people at different venues. At this point, is there anything your beloved Swapo party can do that would surprise us, says Stefanus. Jürgen says, that dry bun and dated Vienna is symbolic of 32 years of independence. The lockout cemented George Orwell's view that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Kom ons hoor wat sê Nina. I understand there's a digital divide and not every Namibian has a TV perhaps. But there are alternatives such as radio, which is more accessible. Yes, Nina. Even on a Tamagotchi. Yes, Nina. Plus word of mouth. It's amusing that with this specific piece of communication, the NBC is to be blamed for not being far-reaching enough. Waar is hierdie comment nou? Wacht net. But with other newsworthy issues, fish rot, whatever, even people in the informal settlements suddenly have knowledge about the issue. People are also selective about what they consider newsworthy to them, and the corporation cannot police that. Additionally, the NBC is not the only media outlet in the country. It's unfair to say they did not do their job. Maxwell says...
media. National.
Yeah.
The Swakopmund has got, generally, I'm just doing that, basically 3 roads that lead to Swakopmund. One's coming from the east, that's not from the Usaka side. Then one's coming from the north, that's from the Henties Bay side. And one comes from the south, which is, let's say, from the Wolfers Bay side.
Yeah.
So it would have taken 3 big banners. Right? Just put up 3 big banners and say you are not invited. Then everybody would know about it.
By the roadblocks.
Yeah.
So that's by the roadblocks.
People would have taken photos of the banners on their cell phones and posted it into social media. Those banners would have been up 3 days, and private media would have caught on to this, and everybody would have known about this.
Independence celebrations for invited guests only. Big banner.
3 banners.
Roadblock.
3 banners.
En by elke Shabinen club ook. Sit hey. Kijk, ek meen, these people go out of their way now to print out flyers and everything when it's time to vote. They make sure the message gets across. They send out people in the streets to come talk to people that are at the Tombo joints. They send out people to go talk to people at the Tombo joints, and they try to convince these people, oh no, just vote for Swapos, vote for LPM, vote. Send out the same people to go tell them you are not invited.
Neville, I feel tenders are the cancers of government. There wasn't any check and balances. That plate wasn't good enough for the amount of money availed for the celebration. We must improve or scrap the celebrations completely.
Neville, daar is 'n bastard funeral plate.
Nee?
Ja, daar is wat bastards hier by die funerals.
Aha.
'n bietjie fussy.
Wacht net, my dream to start a party will happen one day. Vote for me and I'll bring change with the receipt, says Maxwell. Baie comments. Ek sal nog so 2 lees. Ja, Nina J's dood reg.
Yeah.
You volunteered yourself as the NBC to be a candidate for Mugu of the Week.
And Aussie Margaret is going to be top cheater.
Yes.
Aussie Margaret.
Okay, so
I
we've got
vote
we've got 2 candidates for the week, and you must remember it's a 4-day week. So it's good. So we've got Mugo of the week, the NBC, and then Osi Makritsky
Ja.
for top cheater.
for top
Ousie
cheater.
Margaret.
Aussie Margaret.
Gaan julle gou aan. Praat julle nog 'n bietjie. Hier's 'n klip wat ek soek. Ja. Praat julle eers bietjie met mekaar.
Kom ek gou. Moao sê no, the Independence Day Organizing Committee are Mugus of the Week. Julle het lelik droog gemaak. Okay, now let's talk about that. So can we, like, the government takes the money and says, okay, we're gonna give tenders out for this. We're gonna give this money to the organizing committee, and they will give out tenders to these people.
Right.
Yeah. So are we gonna blame the government? Let's say, Kaufi, you have the money, so you want to do a whole event. So you say, I have a catering company, or we are the organizing committee of your company. So you give us, and then he has a catering company. So if the food came out bad, do we blame him or me or you, who is the person that is hosting, that is actually the host of the party?
That depends on who the entity person was that got the tender. Look, in a tender, there's a certain standard of quality. If that quality is not reached within that tender specification, it would be the entity that got the tender's fault. Then that needs to be communicated by government.
Yeah, but the people that come to the place or to the party are going to be
Right.
like, oh, Kafu is a party was. They won't say Neville's catering was. They will say the party was.
There's levels of blaming. Calvin blames you. You blame Neville.
And the public blames who? Calvi.
Who keeps quality control? Who does quality control? You can't just dish out the tender, give the tender to somebody and then not keep an eye on it.
So are we saying it's the organizing committee? Really? Really?
Management is planning, organizing, and controlling. So the control factor didn't happen. It's planning, sure. It's organizing, sure. But that's where it ends. You've got to control it.
So if SWAPO releases a statement, media statement tomorrow and says, listen, guys, we are sorry.
No, government.
But
Not SWAPO, government.
Which is the okay.
We all know it's the same thing, but government needs to.
Okay, the guys from the big building release a statement and say, guys, we are sorry, but the organizing committee did not really follow through with what we actually have planned for the Namibian people. Will we forgive the government?
I'd like
for
to
this?
know who got the tender.
And
Because if that is an inherent SWAPO entity,
yeah, can anybody comment there in the
who got the tender?
Severance via the tender gekry, and was this tenders beneficial to people from Wolfish Bay only, and like to the surrounding community? Maar sê vir my wie die tender gekry.
Yes.
Yeah, that would really be interesting to know exactly who got the tender. But then again, I also think that whoever got the tender, guys, honestly, if the budget was 2.5 million
Yes.
for 1,000 people, it's a very small budget. It's a very, very small budget. If you really want to give people proper food, but wait a minute.
2.5
Are you
million
sure?
is
No, wait a
more than
minute.
enough for 1,000 people. Like
Wait a minute. Let me retract my
Yes.
statement.
Let's.
No,
not
no,
go
no.
there.
Let me retract
Can I do
my
the
statement.
calculations because I'm busy with it? 1,000 people. No, 2.5 million for 1,000 people. That could be a plate of food for 2,500 Namibia dollars
Each.
if it's 1,000 people.
Yeah.
so one plate would cost
2,500 for 1,000 people. But let's say we divide it by 10,000 people, right? That's a plate of food for $250
Which is still a very good
for
plate.
10,000 people at 2.5 million.
and like why don't we use this ladies like you can mos hierdie bordkos is R50 and that would have even be
Guys.
a more decent meal.
Guys, that Formulite bakkie, ne?
Is
If I would put a worth on it, it was probably less than $50.
It was like that's probably $25.
I think
25
$25. $25 sounds.
Yeah.
So if we had 2.5 million people, 2.5 million Namibia dollars, divided by 25, we could have given 100,000 people food.
And, okay, let's do this. You know, a bright plate is about $60, ne? Never. You know the bright plates that the people sell always here. 60. So calculate that by 100,000 people. $60, ne? For 100,000 people. How much will that be?
$60 for 100,000.
Some people, yeah.
That would be 6 million.
You can
That's 6
build.
million.
You
For
can
100,000 and 10,000 people.
No, hang on,
you
now
can build
calculating
a
is crazy.
cake. You can build a 30-meter long cake where at least 1,000 people can each get a stukkie van die independence koek. Ek sê maar net, for example.
Independent snoepkoek. Well, snoep. Seriously, like a bright board, Neville, that would have done justice even. It's just R50, Neville. A bright plate. For
Ja.
the hierdie zalies wat
Ja.
And I play that a pork in, dan het dit gewone
Skap.
skap in, dan het dit miskien 'n
Wors.
sosadi of wors. En dan so 'n
Aardappelslei.
roosterbroodjie.
Aardappelslei en roosterbrood.
Yeah. The next people that must get a catering tender should be those bastard tannies.
Neville.
Yeah. Daai mense sal ons na tree.
Neville. Okay, I've got a different suggestion.
Uh,
Let's make this a thing where we can create economy, proper economy. So the government goes and makes 2.5 million available. Right. And around the stadium, there are food vendors that are contracted, private food vendors, kapana braaiers, fish braaiers, hamburger makers, hot dog makers, whatever fancies your liking. And you arrive and you get a food voucher, which you can hand in at any one of these. Let's make it a food voucher for $25. Right? More or less.
Yeah.
And you can say, I can accommodate, what did we say? 100,000 people at $25. And you give 100,000 people a food voucher. And that food voucher gets handed in at that vendor. And that vendor gives out the food and then later on goes and redeems the voucher at government and gets his money.
Yeah.
Then we've created economy.
That's a bloody good idea.
That is the way that it should be done.
Kauf,
Wow.
that's a good idea. I
Good
love
one, Kaufi.
That's a good idea. I feel like, and the voucher could be just $50 even.
Yeah, because whoever is the vendor, you know, he needs to probably be taxed, or in his purchases he has to pay VAT. That goes back into the state coffers again. Now we've created economy.
And plus, you can even ask everybody that has to go collect their vouchers, like, yo, show us your voting card.
Something like that.
Yeah, so if you are voting,
If you are a voter,
if you're a voter, you get this $50 and you can spend it anywhere. This $50
Even better.
voucher.
even
Yeah.
better.
Now we
Mitch.
know these are people that really voted for the people that are there, and so yeah, that's gonna make more sense.
Brilliant idea, guys.
Can we write a whole proposal to the government for this?
Yeah, but I mean, this
must
is
first go-
this is normal logic. Government has the expertise to think this out themselves.
This is normal logic for you. You're German.
It
Our
must
government-
first go through to the procurement process.
Here toch.
Yeah.
Which is Swapo. Jarr. Nee man.
Julle moet respek hê
You
tot die
guys will
show.
kill me on the show with this. Leave that procurement story, Neville. This is a brilliant idea. Kaufman, I know it's general, like, or logic to you because you're German, but to us, this is this is like, yo,
Yeah. Top Jita nominee of the week, Kaufi. Says he.
this is actually the second time he's a nominee, ne?
Ne?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yay.
Kaufi.
As Tommy said, it's over. They had fun. So what are you going to do now? Complaining doesn't help. Vote for change. Let the what fall. Vote for salad and boerewors. Rose says, problem is you will wait for a year for your money to be paid out. Marsha Lee says, jy het 'n goeie idee, Kaufi. Jürgen says, best idea, Kaufi. Queenie says, it is a fact that the 2.5 million was for food alone. Are we not assuming a lot here in our frenzy to criticize Nje? What about the tent, entertainment, and all that? Just seeking clarity on that. Queenie, even when we were busy discussing this, okay, I did think about what you're talking about. We did probably think about the tent and the entertainment, etc., etc., etc. This is for the sake of independence celebrations. They could have increased the budget a little bit more so that we can make provision for food for 2.5 million.
Yeah.
This.
In my humble opinion.
If you can pay an artist 2.5 million just for an album or to perform, why can't you pay it for 10,000 Namibians for food alone?
Just to have a good day today.
And now you want to pay an artist 250,000 or 2.5 million to perform? That's just nonsense.
Johannes,
5 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
Johannes Kabangula says, let's be honest here. Namibian independence is for all of us Namibians. There is no way you invite certain people for this event. Namibia itself invited everyone. This is the first time this nonsense happened in Namibia and not good at all. I mean that what use of telling people that certain millions is for independence while the event is for invited people? I think sometimes we need to communicate with our people. Guys, another sensitive issue that I do need to ask you guys, because a lot of slander was thrown around yesterday again towards our president, where comparisons were made with our president compared to. I mean, rightfully, people were pissed off yesterday, but people were making comparisons now again with the previous presidents of our country, and how wrong our current president is, etc. And there's so much corruption under the leadership of our current president, etc., etc., etc. And there were obviously a lot of pushback from others who say, you know what, it is completely unfair to compare our leaders with each other, because it just downright just became very insulting on social media, some of the comments that I've seen. I don't know, what is your take on it? Is it fair to compare our presidents with each other since independence?
Neville, I accept absolutely, and I can acknowledge the fact that certain presidents are in certain different, obviously, time zones of their countries of leadership.
Okay.
What I'm saying is sometimes a president might have it easier than another president.
Yeah.
Okay. But here it comes. If you've been in politics so long, such as our current president, you've been watching this since the get-go. You've been involved in Namibian politics. And you can see your country over 30 years. You can see it sliding. You can look at your own country and say, hang on a moment, this country of mine is sliding. It's not going up. It's slowly but surely coming down.
The trajectory is not what it's supposed to be.
And you take on the challenge to stand as a candidate to be voted president, and you then become voted as a president. Then you better have the balls to prevent to prevent that country from sliding, because you made yourself available. You are now accepting all the challenges in that time zone for that country. And you need to do everything you can to make it prosperous for your people.
But is it fair to say, from the base where our founding father started, Sam Lioma,
Yes.
he started from a low base. The country's yours. Fuck.
Yes.
You start off afresh.
No, it started
Reset-
from the Boera.
Yeah.
The Boera gave him a good country.
Okay. Now that's okay.
Yeah, seriously.
Point taken. Refresh button. Start from the start. Okay. And what Tatekuru did for 15 years. What challenges did Tatekuru have compared to what Hage's challenges are? I don't know if we can put it into context.
I'm just saying. Firstly, I'll tell you this. It is because of the war in Ukraine that Hage is struggling right now. It is the war. But on a serious note,
Come on.
Yeah.
if we look at how society has changed, technology that time, and how freedom of speech and everything were like that time to now, I think you can say a lot of nonsense to Tate Hake than you could have said to
Tatekuru.
Tatekuru. I mean, like, you know, that the whole gap between president and citizen. There was, if the government said this is the way, that was the way back in Tadekuru's time. If the government decided men will not wear earrings, the NDF was sent out and you would be beaten up for your earrings. And that was it. You were not going to come there and say, what is your badge number? You know, and now Hage took over a country where everything happened, like where, you know, when you're a bit of a dictator, and you can do whatever you want in that country, and corruption starts building up, and now somebody else comes through and says, okay, I want to be the next president, and I'm willing to take over all that, but it's going to take me time. Namibians do not have that time to wait, and that's the problem.
Okay, my question is, for example, talking about corruption, are we saying that we have more corruption today than we had in 1995? Do we say that under the leadership of Tate Pohamba that we did not have the level of corruption that we perhaps have now?
I think, Neville, we are dealing with the corruption that was not dealt with. The aftermath of the corruption that was not dealt with. Because when did you hear in the time of Tadekuru there was a whole lot or a corruption scandal? Money was taken in the eyes of the citizens and you could say nothing about it. And now we are dealing with the aftermath of that. And ongelukkig moet my Brahma met the 100 cherry deal wat Namibia is now. A woman with her guards up and all that. Hake Kengop is dealing with her. A woman that was hurt a lot and the guard is just way too up and this woman is ready to fight back and not have him lead her.
Mitch is not referring to Hage as Tatekuru. We're talking about Tate Nyoma as Tatekuru here.
Neville. Okay, let's look at Tate Nyoma. Okay, when we became independent, Namibia was a highly attractive country to invest in. It was a new country. It had been liberated. People felt free. There was freedom. Foreign private companies came in, invested in Namibia because they saw the opportunities, and that was the economic situation of Namibia. Let's make it for the first 10 to 12, 13 years.
Right. State in
And then it started going down. Okay. Yeah. And I think corruption, I think there are many factors due to that. But I think corruption is a big factor that contributed to that downfall.
That spiral. But I would, my opinion is that I would sort of agree with what Mitch is saying. That I guess corruption back in the day was not as visible or has been addressed on a public, because I mean I think the media obviously changed completely. We didn't have social media in 1992 or 1993, and we know as black aspiring Namibians back then in the late 90s, etc., etc. We heard about stuff that's happening, but we could not speak about it. We've heard, for the longest time, we heard about what happened at, for instance, allegedly at the GIPF. We talk about TPEC, a project that was run a few years ago. How much did we spend on mass housing? Over $800 million was spent on mass housing.
Railway project.
Railway projects, Transkalahari. And we don't want to go down to say, talk about whataboutism again. But I guess when it comes to systemic corruption, in my view, it's been there since day one.
Sure. It definitely
It's been there. It's been there all the time. And yes, if we can go as far back as even apartheid times, I mean, I speak to white people who candidly tells me now how much was stolen during the apartheid years.
Yes.
And there were nobody that kept white people accountable of what they stole. I mean, I speak to guys who's been in the army in the then dispensation, who would tell me that the South African Defence Force Minister Magnus Malan would land a big plane in the middle of the Etosha, National Park, and they would put up tents, cooks, chefs, hunters, and these guys would hunt
In the Joshua Park.
rhinos and elephants for weeks
we
on
all
end.
know. We all know that in the previous regime, that corruption was taking place there.
Yeah.
I'm sure that corruption was also here in the 1930s.
Yes.
In the old Southwest Africa.
Yeah.
You know what we are not. We are not denying the fact that corruption is not real. Okay. So I've gone into the Namibia Corruption Index.
Yes.
Okay, and you score basically points.
Interesting.
From that.
Yes.
So the corruption index in Namibia decreased to 51 points in 2020 from 52 points in 2019. So let's just have a look at this. It indicates the corruption index all the way up to 2020. So we don't have the figures for 2021, and we obviously won't have the figures for 2022. But 2015, we were standing at 53 points. In 2018, we were standing at 53 points. In comparison to 2020, we were standing at 51 points. Obviously, everything that gets made up of this is something that we will still need to, find out a little bit more. But it seems to me that in 2020, corruption had gone down from 2018. So in 2012, for instance, was Tate Noyoma still in charge?
No,
In
Pohamba.
2012 was Pohamba in charge in 2012.
Tate Pohamba.
Pohamba. We were standing at 48 points. Right? So these corruption levels are definitely there. It's something that I'll definitely go and investigate. a
Reported
little bit.
48 points, probably.
Tate
damn
Pohamba, 2 years ago when fish rot broke, Tate Pohamba went on record, and I'm verbatimly quoting him here,
Oh, yeah, no.
where Tate Pohamba said, Is there corruption in Namibia? Why did not anybody tell me that there is corruption in Namibia? I would have done something if I knew that there was a corruption in Namibia.
Oh, my God.
Hindsight is an exact science.
He didn't know.
He didn't know.
Yeah.
Tate Pohamba did not know that there was corruption in Namibia. What are you laughing? Wat pocket snacks. As die man sê hy het nie geweet nie, then he didn't know.
No, I believe him.
Yeah, yeah.
Me, I believe him.
Yeah. So stop your nonsense, Mitch. Yeah. A last few comments before we end the show.
Oh, my God.
You comment.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Gesundheit.
As het 2019 was.
Nee, dat is geen historie.
Nee, wat jij?
Vanessa says, if you're not ready for the task to run for president, toch. Sorry toch julle. Because you are because if you are in that position, you should know that the buck stops with you, says Vanessa Guibe. Joshua Hadula says, it's very visible and seen as a comfortable practice since the past 15 years. Corruption is a norm in Namibia. Corruption has always been there, but now with technology, it's out for sure. Trump wanted votes to be found, but one would hear votes missing there, or was it lies, says Estomich. Jürgen says, unfortunately, in order to do a proper analysis or comparison, we need to have different options. But in our case, all three presidents are exactly the same. Hulle is 3-in-1. So Jürgen Gesep, the first African presidents did not have it easy, as many issues were negotiated and sunset clauses therein. But over time, in one party has presided, it becomes a party issue than an incumbent issue, says Trini. Mutumba says corruption was there, it's still just hidden well. If we do a proper audit of all these BEE beneficiaries, we will find many skeletons in their closets. People have been eating since kingdom come, says Mutumba. Joshua Dula says, until today we know one really want to talk about nepotism in the GRN institutions. That is the mother of systemic ek moet comments lees gou. Systemic corruption. Mutumba, Malume says, King Malume says, yes, corruption was not visible because our people were happy for freedom they received while the groot man started to eat. Corruption started long time already and is still there. Tatekuru is still allegedly running the country from behind the back door. Yeah. Corruption was always there. Dit was net onder die mat gespeel en daar was nie snitches nie, want almal het equal geëet, sê Natalie. Vanessa says the problem is that corruption has gone on unchecked and cases have accumulated for far too long. There is nowhere to hide, deny or ignore anymore. There is some of our last comments. Ek wil net iets gou speel hier for everybody to hear as part of the closing of the show. This was now your leader, Bernardus Swartboy.
No, I want to hear this.
Say broer Bernardus.
Sorry toch.
Broer Bernardus Swartboy.
Broer Bernardus Swartboy. He was getting into somebody. Obviously, somebody who is part of the LPM party.
Yeah.
And Bernardus completely lost his marbles talking to this, whoever this was. Listen to this.
Annelies, jy het geen mandaat om enige issue na Landros toe te vat namens hierdie party of namens die council nie. Waar het jy die mandaat gekry? Wat verstaan jy nie? Kan jy nie lees nie? Verstaan jy niks van governance nie? Het jy nie skool gegaan nie? Verstaan jy nie prosedure nie? Wat is verkeerd in jou brein? Is daar 'n fout in jou brein? Wat het jy te doen met 'n Landros se besluit? Wie het 'n vergadering geroep en vir jou gesê jy moet soontoe gaan om oor 'n Landros se beslissing te gaan praat? Het die party vir jou die mandaat gegee of die council? Wie het jou die reg gegee om na 'n Landros te gaan? Wie? Waar? Jy moet fokus op jou werk. Dis wat jy moet doen. Wat soek jy by 'n Landros?
Vader van Keetmans.
Ja, vandag kan jy sê Vader van Keetmans. And on that note,
What about the weather
ah,
and the coronavirus cases?
Wag, kom ons.
I am absolutely smitten to the ground. I'm devastated.
Wat het jy daar gaan soek? Het jy die mandaat?
Yes.
ja, het jy die mandaat? Het jy die mandaat?
I'm supposed to do this every day after the news. Meneer.
Het jy die mandaat?
Is daar fout met
Jou
jou brein?
Alejandro ka. Is jou se naam Alejandro wat?
Wie?
Alejandro. Die ou wat doen gesê, wat het jy by Alejandro se?
Nee, by 'n Landros.
Landros.
By die hof.
Landros, nee.
Ja.
Oh, ek hoor Alejandro.
Nee, fuck, Jeremich.
Just
Nee. Mesha, Koffie,
Yes.
kan ons net die weer kry asseblief?
nie die coronavirus.
Nee,
Nou het jy
nee,
die
is alright.
mandaat, Koffie.
Jy het die mandaat. Gee ons
Okay.
die weer.
So, in Namibia today, scattered to widespread thunder showers are expected over the Kunini and Irongo regions by Wednesday, spreading to the central, north and Otjizonjupa region by Thursday. We should be getting good rains in the north of the country, coming all the way through the central parts, all the way down to the capital. That would be happening today, Wednesday and Thursday. In the meantime, the interior partly cloudy and warm to hot over the east, elsewhere partly cloudy and warm to hot, with a few to isolated thunder showers, but scattered thunder showers over the Kunini and Irongo regions. Windy spells in places over the interior. The coast partly cloudy and hot, with possible showers over the north and central coast. Then looking at the maximum temperatures for today. Windhoek 26, Walvis Bay 27, Swakopmund 30. The Zambezi region, Katema Mulilo 31, with Omuthia at 31, Ondangwa 32, and Oshakati 31. Ochivarongo 30, with Riobot at 30. Then we look at Marintal 36 and Kietmansup, if I can find it, at 34 today. Going to the east of the country, Gobabas and Beitapos both at 32 maximums for the day. Coronavirus cases.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Active cases, 160.
Oh, that's good.
With newly confirmed cases, 7, 29 recoveries. So well done, Namibia. Unfortunately, we had one coronavirus case death over the long weekend.
Okay. Condolences to the family out there.
Yes.
But our numbers surely look good. Masha, DM my kou. DM my. Dat ek vir jou die klip stuur. Julle van die show hou van kokblok. Nou, wie is nou gekokblok hierso? Asseblief. Malume.
Malume complain hierso. Hy moet so uit vanmorgen gesê, môre moet hom inbox.
Oh!
Ek sê, Ivan sê, jy's oulik, kom ek vat jou uit inbox me.
Can somebody please translate that, what Bernardus Abudi, is it Abudi?
Broer Bernardus.
Broer Bernardus.
When he gets mad, we say broer.
Okay, kan iemand toch vir Estomich verduidelik wat broer Bernardus gesê het. Swartboy is op 'n ander level. Sê King Malume.
When numbers change their frequency, like as hulle net wat het.
And he was really enunciating. So
clearly.
Jy verstaan wat het jy gaan soek? So, on that note, het jy nie skool nie. Julle moet 'n geseënde dag hê. Ons sien julle weer môre.
Sappa.
Dankie.
And you know me, I'm big dog. When I was